Sometimes when we hear the word investor, right, we always think of money, or we think of stocks, or we think of real estate, or we think of Bitcoin nowadays. We just think of these metrics that we use as investment pieces, right? But investing is way bigger than a bank account. Is your investing aligning with your assignment? Are you investing in areas of your life that aligns with your purpose? The things that we have, the resources that we've been given, where are we placing those investments? Where are we prioritizing investing the investments of those resources? You can do three things with time, right? You can spend time, you can waste time, or you can invest time. The question is, what are you doing? What are you doing with the time that you've been given? My goal is to provide knowledge and opportunities for the next generation as much as I can, the best that I can. So relationships and the way that I invest with the relationships that I have is super important to me. But money is a tool. Money isn't a trophy, right? Don't just stack the money, or don't just stack the finances. Steward your finances. When you're blessed with or given the ability to have resources, use it wisely, right? Give as generously as you could. Invest them as well as you can, and grow it, right? Multiply it so that you're able to continue and do more, exceedingly and above anything that you would have been able to imagine. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the new episode of the Myles Side Podcast. This is Myles Jr., and as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right, so for starters, I just want to say that our merch is live. The website is live. So if you're interested in picking up some of the merch I've been wearing, some of our merchandise so far for this year, for all of our episodes. For those of you who've been watching as our visual audience, for those who have been listening only, if you're interested in seeing what the merch looks like, you can log on to our website. It's legacybrandshop.com. All right, legacybrandshop.com. We have a variety of sweatshirts and t-shirts that we're offering. Just some cool ideas I have. I think I would like to consider myself sort of a fashion forward person. I'm very conscious of what I wear and how I wear it. And this was an idea that just came, has always been an idea for me. Always been something that I wanted to do, and just had the opportunity to do it. Came up with these a creative way to put them out. And I'm just happy to be able to bring them to you guys. So legacybrandshop.com, website is live, merch is live. Get it while the supplies last. They've been going a bit quickly lately. So, get your favorite merchandise. I recommend the Kingdom, what I'm wearing today. I love this particular piece. The Kingdom wording and the K logo piece. I think those are my two favorites. And then second is probably my Jesus is Lord piece. But I love all of them in a special way. All of them came from, either a quote or an experience that, I wanted to portray and bring to life. So it's a labor of love for me. And I'm just happy I'm able to finally bring it to life. So all of you who've been asking for it, it's finally here. Well, it's been here, but just reminding you guys that the opportunity is here now for you guys to take advantage. All right. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about stewarding more than just money. Sometimes when we hear the word investor, right, we always think of money, or we think of stocks, or we think of real estate, or we think of Bitcoin nowadays. We just think of these metrics that we use as investment pieces, right? But investing is way bigger than a bank account. We are called to be stewards of of just more than our finances, right? We're called to be stewards of time, we're called to be stewards of our talents, called to be stewards of the influence that we may have, called to be stewards of our relationships. And then we're called to be stewards of our faith as well, right? All of that is what we are called to be stewards over, not just the finances that we're able to gain. And you don't have to be a Wall Street broker or agent or anything to be an investor, right? If you have anything, right, whatever you have, you are already investing. But the question is, where are you investing? It takes me to the mindset of, is your investing aligning with your assignment? Are you investing in areas of your life that aligns with your purpose? The things that we have, the resources that we've been given, where are we placing those investments? Where are we prioritizing investing the investments of those resources? You think of the parable of the talents, right? In Matthew 25, the three servants who got different amounts of talents, right? They didn't receive the same amount, but the expectation was the same, right? Their master who gave them the talents expected them to multiply, right? Multiply what they were given. The first two, they did just that. They multiplied what they were given. The third guy was nervous, didn't prioritize investing, but instead he dug a hole and put it in the hole and, just kind of gave the master exactly what he was given initially. I think it just shows that you're not judged on how much you've been given, but you're judged on what you do with what you've been given. I think sometimes we tend to look at others and be a bit envious or discouraged even, right? Because they have more than us or they were given more than us. And we sometimes look at it as, man, I don't have what they have, so what's the point in me using what I have or investing what I have or multiplying what I have? But that's not the mindset we should have, right? It's being stewards over the resources that we have, because I truly believe that stewardship is all about being able to prove, right? It's sort of like this terminology I love in business where, it's proof of concept. And the concept is management, your management, right? How are we able to manage? How do we manage our time? How do we manage our talents? How do we manage the influence or impact that we are able to have? How do we manage the relationships that we're given? And how do we manage our faith, right? The management of, and then in addition to all of that, again, how do we manage resources, the finances? And it's all about management, right? Because the proof of concept then lends to, man, if you're able to manage these things correctly and multiply, you'll be given more, right? Going back to the parable of the talents, the third guy that didn't invest, his talents just dug him up. The master was very disappointed, took the talents away and gave the talents to the guy who had the most, right? He gave him the most. He doubled his possessions or doubled his resources and then was given more, right? He didn't give it to the second guy who also invested, but he gave it to the first guy. So, I think it just shows that if we show ourselves true in our management abilities, right? We show proof of concept that I'm able to manage, I'm capable of being a good manager, then we would be entrusted with more. But it's all about being stewards of not just our finances, being stewards of everything that we possess. Do you feel like there's more to life than what you're experiencing? That deep down, you're meant for something greater? It's time to stop wondering and start discovering. At the Munroe Institute of Leadership, we believe every person carries a unique purpose, a calling designed specifically for you. Our transformative courses, Discover Purpose and Unlock Your Potential, are crafted to help you uncover that purpose and equip you with the tools to step confidently into your destiny. These powerful courses are for leaders, entrepreneurs, students, and visionaries like you. Through proven principles and actionable insights, you will clarify your vision and set bold goals. You will identify your strengths and passions. You will overcome the barriers holding you back and you will step boldly into your God-given potential. Our expert facilitators draw from timeless and tested principles, blending practical strategies with kingdom truths to empower you to lead a life of purpose, impact, and transformation. The world needs what you have to offer. Don't let another day pass without unlocking the greatness within you. Visit our website, themill.org, and register today. The Munroe Institute of Leadership. Renew your mind and transform a generation. So when we think of things that we can invest, right, we can invest our time, right? Time is a gift. You know, I say this all the time. Time is something that is scarce, right? So the only thing that we can't get back, right? It's a gift. The time that we have here on this earth is really a present to us, right? It's something that we should be thankful for every day that we get. And time is a seed, right? Time is a seed that we should be planting as much as we can in as many areas as we can, right? You can spend, you can do three things with time, right? You can spend time, you can waste time, or you can invest time. The question is, what are you doing? What are you doing with the time that you've been given? You know, I like to look at time the way I look at my money, to be honest. I budget my time. You know, I'm very particular with how I spend my time on a daily basis. I'm always the same way I plan my year when it comes to my financing and my budgeting and my goals as far as investments are concerned. I do the same thing with my time on a daily basis. You know, I allocate a certain amount of time for devotions. I allocate a certain amount of time just for personal time, for me to reflect, for me to pray, for me to meditate. I allocate time for different things I want to do throughout my day when it comes to business. I allocate my time to my family. I allocate time to, just taking a break, right? Taking some time off. The allocation of time, or the way we steward our time, is just as important as the way we steward everything else in our lives, right? So are you spending time, are you wasting time, or are you investing time? It's okay to do a little bit of all three of those, but it's important to put focus and priority on the investment side, right? The investment of our time reaps the most benefit, especially in the areas that we're investing the time. And then second, we're able to invest our talents, right? And obviously our talents is the potential that we have, the skills that we have, right? Are we developing those talents, right? We need to find the talent, we need to develop the talent, and then we need to use the talents, right? Like going back to the parable of the talents, the guy that was given a talent and did absolutely nothing with it, it was taken away from him, right? So once you find your talent and develop it, you shouldn't bury your talent, right? Once you discover it, you don't just do nothing with it, right? You have to figure out, man, what can I do with this? How can I invest this talent to the point where it's going to multiply, right? It's going to impact and influence others. And you have to use it. You know, it takes me to Proverbs 18, verse 16, right? Your gift makes room for you on this earth. And, you know, if we want to be great, if we want to be impactful, if we want to be influential, the things that we can use, one of the main things that we can use is our skills, is the gifts that we have, is the talents that we've been given. So what are you doing with the talents? What are you doing with your skills? You know, once you discover them and then you start to develop them, use them, right? And use as many as you can in as many ways as you can, right? Because we can be talented in a bunch of different things, right? Some of us were blessed with the talent of sports and athleticism. Some of us were blessed with the talent of speech and being communicative. Some of us were blessed with talents of creativity, right? Whether that's singing, dancing, writing, you know, all of these different skills that we can have as individuals. How are you not just discovering them, but how are you developing them and using them to the best of your abilities, right? I think that's the key, and figuring out the best ways to invest our talents for not just the benefit of ourselves, right, but the benefit of others, because the talents we're given is not for us, right? Nothing we have and nothing we do should be for us, right? It should be to help or to empower or to influence and teach others to one day do the same. Third thing that we can invest is our relationships. You know, who are you pouring into and who is pouring into you. God puts our people around us throughout our lives, right? Some people we're supposed to learn from, some people we're supposed to teach. Don't ignore the people that have been assigned to us. Don't ignore the people that have been assigned to mentor us, to teach us, to guide us through different avenues and aspects of our lives. And then don't ignore the people that have been assigned for us to mentor and assist and guide through their lives, right? It's a two-way street. So the relationships that we have, some of them are for us to cultivate and develop and learn from. And then some of us is for us to share the experiences that we've had and mentor, the next generation. I take time out of my day to give time to persons that request my time and productively, right? I don't just, spend time or give time to persons or to anyone just because they request my time, right? I'm really selective on who I spend my time with. But for the most part, man, young individuals in particular, who reach out and, they'd be like, hey, can I have a conversation? Can we go to lunch? Can we just sit down and have a discussion? I love those moments, right? Because I remember being in their shoes, wanting to and requesting the time of someone that I had high respect for and I wanted to be mentored by. And they gave me the time, right? And I was able to, have conversations and ask questions and learn from their experiences and their knowledge. And I think it's only right that I return that same benefit that I was able to receive, return that back to the next generation. So I use my time wisely. I use my relationships wisely, right? I develop and cultivate relationships that I can learn from and I can develop from, and that can pour into my life. And then I also, used relationships or use myself for relationships of the lives that I can pour into as well. My goal is to provide knowledge and opportunities for the next generation as much as I can, the best that I can. So relationships and the way that I invest with the relationships that I have is super important to me. And I think the goal should be for us everyone to do that, right? As we grow from teenagers to adults, that's our period where we're learning and developing from the relationships that we have established, right? From the adults in our lives, whether it's our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, uncles, friends of the family, business mentors and associates. We can learn from everyone that's around us who could have a positive influence on our lives. And then as we get older, or even while we're going through that process, we could teach and assist persons in our generation or in the generation after us. But I think it needs to be a stewardship, right? We're stewarding these relationships. We're learning from the generation before us, and then we're teaching the generation after us. And I think that's a great way to steward our relationships. And then influence, right? That's another thing that we can invest. Our voice is very important, regardless of how many people you think are listening to you or not listening to you. There's a number of persons out there that you're able to influence, whether it's 1 person, 10 persons, 100 persons, 1,000 persons, 100,000 persons, right? Your voice is influential. What are you doing with the time? What are you doing with the platforms that you're placing yourselves on? I take pride in being able to be a part of this Myles High podcast. This isn't something that I'm doing just off the whim, right? This is for a specific purpose, and it's for me to pretty much give myself what I would have wanted at a younger age, right? Give myself a platform or an avenue to find out information, to seek answers to questions that I may have had or that I may still have, right? And as I come up with these and discover these answers, this platform I'm using to provide those answers to others. Because I know if I'm asking the questions and if I have those questions myself, there are thousands, maybe millions of people out there who have the same questions. And if I can be a part of them being able to discover those answers, by all means, I'm going to take advantage of that. So the influence that I'm able to have, regardless of the amount of persons that I'm able to influence, is super important to me. So am I building Uh, am I doing this for likes or legacy? Right, that's the question. Or what it is that whatever it is that you do, the influence that you have, are you influential because you want to be liked, or you want to be popular, or are you doing it because you really want to leave something behind? Right, feed something into this generation and the generations to follow. Don't choose clout, choose purpose. Everything we do should be for a purpose, on purpose, right? And aligned with our assignment. Be as influential as you want to be, as you could be, but during and as a part of that influence, just make sure it's on purpose and for a purpose, right? It's not a selfish gain that you have. I want to introduce you to the Munroe Global app, the ultimate platform to empower your leadership journey and inspire your purpose-filled life. Access timeless teachings designed to help you grow in every area of your life. From leadership development to personal growth, Munroe Global has it all at your fingertips. With the Munroe Global app, you'll have exclusive access to powerful videos and messages from the legendary Dr. Myles Munroe, a digital library packed with life-changing content right at your fingertips, and a vibrant global community of visionaries, leaders, and change makers just like you. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the office, the Munroe Global app ensures you never miss an opportunity to learn, grow, and lead. Available now on Google Play and the Apple App Store, the Munroe Global app is your gateway to unlocking your potential and impacting your world. Download the Munroe Global app today and take the first steps toward living the life you were born to lead. And then finally, we can invest our faith. Our faith is not going to grow until it's tested, right? One thing I learned from my dad is never trust someone who has never been tested, right? Who's never been tempted. Tempting is a part of growth, right? Tempting is a part of development. And that's how we grow our faith, right? Everything that we go through, be it good or bad, the challenges, the disappointments, all of it is a part of our development, right? And being able to build our faith. The only way that we can trust something that we don't see is to go through things where we didn't have any other choice but to trust, right? But to accept the reality that we have and move forward in the process and just, pray that the outcome that we desire is the outcome that comes to reality. But we have to stretch our faith. We have to speak our faith. And then we have to use our faith, right? We speak things as if they were already. And that could be hard, right? Just not knowing exactly what is about to happen or what could happen. But being able to go through these processes in life to where, the strongest test of our faith is when things don't go the way that we want them to happen, right? What do you do then? Do you just give up? Do you do away with your faith and be like, man, this doesn't make sense because nothing is going the way that I would like? And I truly feel like that's when true faith is realized, right? It's not when things are going well, right? Because anyone can have faith when you're believing for something to happen and it actually happens, right? That's the easy faith. But the faith that is a bit more challenging is believing for something to happen and it doesn't happen, right? It doesn't go the way that we want. We don't get the job. We don't get the promotion. We don't. The business doesn't do well. We lose our homes. We lose a loved one, right? Those are experiences and circumstances that truly test our faith. What are you going to do in those moments, right? And stewarding our faith deals with knowing that we are grounded in the faith that we believe, right? The things that we believe. Knowing that on this earth, we don't have any control, right? There's nothing that we can control ourselves. So the onus is on us to put our faith and hope in our Creator and trusting that, everything that happens or doesn't happen is for a greater purpose that we are supposed to be a part of. So again, speak your faith, stretch your faith, and use your faith. That's my encouragement as far as stewarding your faith. But saying all of that, it's still, money is important, right? I don't want anyone to think that I'm demeaning or undermining finances in any way, right? But money is a tool. Money isn't a trophy, right? Don't just stack the money or don't just stack the finances. Steward your finances, right? So when you're blessed with or given the ability to have resources, use it wisely, right? Give as generously as you could, invest them as well as you can, and grow it, right? Multiply it, so that you're able to continue and do more, exceedingly and above anything that you would have been able to imagine. So with all that said, I want to issue a challenge, right, to everyone out there that's listening. I want you to rate yourself on these 5 areas of your life. How have you been stewarding your time, your talents, your influence, your relationships, and your faith? How have you been doing that? Let's just say for this year, right? How have you been investing in these areas? I want you to really take a hard look at the way that you have been investing and stewarding not just your finances, but these 5 areas of your life, and challenge yourself to do better if you haven't been doing well, or find a way to prioritize the stewardship of these things. One thing that you can do over the next 7 days or over the next month. How can I steward my time better? How could I steward my talents better? How can I steward my relationships better? How can I steward my influence and the platforms that I have? And then how can I steward my faith? It's all about being able to steward so that we can be blessed with more. Because again, it's this proof of concept that we're trying to establish and then grow. And I just think having that mindset just allows us to continue to develop and just be better human beings, right? Be better, not just stewards of finances, like I'm saying, but good stewards of every aspect of our lives. I have a group of friends, and one in particular who I talk about this on a ongoing basis, right? He and I are always discussing, being stewards and not just owners, right? We don't want to own anything. I just want to be a good stewarder of the resources that I'm able to have, because once you think you own something, it's lost, right? Because then there's this entitlement that you have, right? This mentality that, this is mine and I did this and I created this. For me, it's my time with it, right? It's my time to steward this and manage this the best way that I can, whether it's time, talents, influence, relationship, or faith and finances. It's my time to use it in this moment in my life, or this season of my life, or these seasons of my life. And I want to show proof of concept. I want to show that I can be trusted as a good steward, so that I can continually be blessed with more resources to steward over. All right. So that's my encouragement. Take a look at your life and what you've been or not been doing as far as stewarding is concerned. And I challenge you to just become better stewards of our resources and everything that we've been blessed with. All right. So now this is part of the episode where I want to leave with you a milestone. And the milestone for today is very simple. So being an investor isn't about being rich. It's just about being responsible with what you have. So it doesn't matter, like I said, the amount that you've been given. It has a lot to do with what are you doing with what you have. How responsible are you being? Are you stewarding the way that you should steward? And I truly believe, right, like I said earlier, it's our proof of concept. If we can show ourselves to be good stewards, right, to be good managers, and to be able to multiply the things that we've been given, then we'll be blessed with more. Right? We'll be given those resources that have been taken from those who have not been good stewards, and they'll be given to us because we've shown proof of concept. All right. So that brings us to the end of this episode. It's just my challenge, man, for all of us to continue to be good stewards, and for those who have not been good stewards to now become good stewards of all of your resources. Stewardship investments doesn't just have to do with finances. It has to do with every resource that we have been blessed with, right? And I'm encouraging you to just be good stewards, man. Be good stewards of all of our resources because it bodes well for us and our families and for the next generation. All right. So as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. Until next time, you guys stay blessed.